For the viewers who don't work in the trash industry, relax about your trash. If your scheduled pickup date is Wednesday, it's Wednesday. There's not a specific time that they pick it up on Wednesday. It's just Wednesday. Please don't call and complain. We don't want to leave your trash laying out.
Hello, and hey, Paul, welcome to Talk Dirty to Me. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So, Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a garbage truck mechanic in the refuse industry for one of the larger companies. Work mainly on residential, commercial reload, some tractor, some trailer. I've had to work on everything, so that's where I'm at now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been with this company for 6 years. Prior to that, I was a marine diesel, which I loved. Clean environment, really relaxing work. You know, you're working on yachts, so it's nice, but the money was not great. Like, the money wasn't good, so left.
All right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, if I didn't have my daughter, I would have stayed in the marine industry because it was like, you know, it was pretty low responsibility. I could be a degenerate and then, you know, just continue on with my lifestyle. And then when my daughter was being born, I was like, this isn't enough money. Like, it's not secure enough. I need to have a better future. So I just started applying. I almost went back to the dealership too. The master mechanic that I apprenticed under when he was at the same dealership that I applied to. And he's like, oh yeah, come on over here. We'll make a ton of money. Cause that's his end game, is making money. He does not, can I cuss on this? Oh, he does not fuck around when it comes to money. He gets his money, and he's mad when he makes under 120 grand a year. Like, he is pissed. So I was like, all right, I'll come back, work for you. And then the company I work for now called me, and I was like, well, I'll go check that out. I'm like, it's something new. It's not flat rate. It's not the dealership world. Let me try it out. And I got hired, and I was like, all right, I'm not going back to the dealership world. And then COVID hit. And I'm really glad I didn't go to the dealership.
Right.
He's like, it's bad. He's like, there's nothing to do.
Right. Yeah, no, horrible.
COVID
I actually have
messed
a
up a lot.
brother-in-law that, oh, sorry, Sean.
Yeah, COVID messed up a lot of stuff for a lot of people. What were you saying, Alex?
I said I have a brother-in-law that's in the dealership service portion of mechanic life. He hates it most days, loves it some, but it's always a up in the air thing, because, you know, the whole thing with flat rates, the whole thing that, you know, it all depends on how much work you get for the week and everything. Your paychecks, you know, bounce around all the time.
Yeah, if you got a shitty manager that, you know, sucks. You know, if one person gets all the gravy work and you're stuck doing warranty, then
Oh yeah.
you know, I've had bad managers at dealerships, and it's like, man, I'm doing nothing but warranty for like next 3 days. Awesome, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then some warranty jobs, I mean, the manufacturers figure it out really quick. They'll allot, let's say, like 5 hours to do a repair, and you're like, oh, I did it 2. Well, like, they'll start figuring it out, and they'll start docking that pay down. Yep. Like, oh crap, they figured it out.
Right.
What was it? A buddy of mine's a body shop guy, and he worked on one of the Ford Mavericks or the Bronco. I can't remember which one. But since they're so new, the insurance agent didn't have a set repair time for the repair that he needed to do on a quarter panel. And it took him like 2 hours, and he got paid out like 18 hours on it.
Oh.
And he's like, well, this is the first time I think they've seen us. They don't know. And then when he got another one, and they severely reduced that payout rate, and he's like, all right, they figured it out.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I got a little taste of that when I was doing towing for a few years, because it was all commission based. So it was basically how much of the job was, and I made like 40% off the total bill. I hated doing all the roadside calls where I had to change batteries or change tires or plug tires. All the service calls sucked because they only paid you out $5 or $10. Mind you, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm rolling out of bed just to go do a tire change on the highway, and it's not worth the money at all. It's like, why am I doing this to myself?
yeah, and they can sell it really, like, the recruiters and managers can sell it really well. And especially if you're desperate and you're like, I need money, and you're like, I'll do it. And then you, like, 3 months in, you're like, this is not fucking worth it. Like, this sucks. I'm out of here.
Right. So, with being a mechanic now, are you like the go-to mechanic? Does everybody come to you for things, or is there multiple mechanics?
Yeah, there's multiple. When I first started there, it's just kind of like I got hired in basically as an apprentice because I didn't really know garbage trucks. I knew a diesel engine and I knew a vehicle, but I didn't know the workings of a garbage truck, which I learned pretty quick because I'm mechanically inclined. So I moved up with the company relatively fast, and the lead technician at night transferred to another site, and I started doing his role. So I had to learn how to manage people, do POs, manage money, where the money came from, all that stuff, and fix stuff, and deal with all the drivers, and deal with management, and deal with having enough trucks for routes. And like, I'm bald. Like, I had a little bit more hair then, and I lost like the little bit that I had. Um,
Alex,
my
he answered your question, buddy. He answered your question immediately.
yeah,
Alex's question is, why don't he get parts?
yeah, and then my stress was through the roof. I was in a bad mood all the time, and then it started. The hours that I was working started affecting the relationship with my daughter's mother, and custody was starting to get involved in it. So I was like, because I was working 70 plus hours a
Right.
week. I was going in at 1 o'clock and getting home at 6 a.m. Like, it was just a mess. And we were short staffed, like severely short staffed. So, and the one guy I had working on with me was not, a smart cookie. Yeah. It's the nicest way I can put it.
You get a lot of those.
Yeah. So when when more people finally got hired in, I was like, look, it's either something has to change or I'm out of here because I'm not losing custody of my kid over garbage trucks. Like, it's not happening.
Right.
So they were like, all right, we'll figure something out. And then about a month later, they're like, this is your schedule now. I'm like, awesome. That works for me. I get to take my kid to school in the morning and still get to work on time. And then I still get her at night. So
Right.
everything's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The job definitely affects family, because even as a driver, we put in them hours. We put in a lot of hours, and
Yeah.
family does get involved. Now it's pretty crazy because we only work until like 5, 6 at night, us as drivers, and that still affects family. It's pretty crazy on seeing how fast you can lose a family, or things in your family can change over a job.
Yeah. Luckily, where I'm at, we finally have good management. So, and there's a lot of single dads and a lot of single moms that work there. And they'll go to management and be like, hey, next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, can you put me on an 8-hour shift? I got to do something for my kid, whatever. And they're like, yeah, sure, absolutely. As long as you tell them, like, in advance of what's going on, they will cater to your schedule. So that's if you do a day of, they're kind of like, hey, you're kind of fucking me, but
Right.
I may not be able to. But if you give them enough time, we have giant calendars everywhere. The dry erase ones, put your name on it, and then they will cater and work around your life and your schedule to make sure your family's taken care of.
Right.
And every single one of them's like, yeah, go take care of this. Like, it's more important than trash. It's more important than garbage trucks. Like, your life is more important than this. Go do it.
Right.
So,
You guys ain't hiring, are you, Alex? I mean, you want to?
Well, I mean, there is a local site that they have for in our area.
Yeah, but like
But I hear
their
some-
area sounds better.
I don't know. Well, yeah, but I'm not moving all the way out to wherever he lives. That's like Midwest. I mean,
yeah. The weather here's been kind of nuts this last weekend. So,
How
ours
hot
is
is
not
it?
big.
it is 24 degrees right now.
Well,
It was supposed to rain all weekend. Friday morning, it rained all morning. And then the cold front came in, turned it to snow. So it was ice, snow, and then it just dropped down in temperature. And then it's supposed to be like 40 again in the middle of the week and rain. So it's everybody's just had a minor cold for like 3 months because the weather can't figure out what to do. Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it cold? So everybody's just like, I have a cold all the time.
It was 5 degrees where we were at like a few weeks ago.
Oh, fuck that shit. We just went through that. It was brutal.
Yeah. You guys now, do you guys naturally get snow over there, or?
Yeah, it's been for the last 3 years, it's been a really dry winter. So not a lot of accumulation. If you go 4 hours north to like towards Lake Michigan, You get a lot of lake effect snow up there, like Holland, which would be the southwest corner part of Michigan. They get a ton of snow, but as it starts coming across the state, it loses power, and we get maybe an inch or two. And up north, if you're looking at Michigan the hand, if you go up in the thumb, they have the snow belt up there, so they get like their own just wild weather up there. And where my work is at is not too far from that, so we get kind of stuck in the middle of, if you look north, you can see all the crazy storms, but if you look south, you can see the clear skies, and we get kind of stuck in the middle, so we get some wild weather out there too.
Right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because where we are in New York, we're in between, like, was it like 5 or 7 lakes over here, Sean?
Yeah.
So we get a lot of lake effect snow. It stinks. I mean, it stinks.
Right. You know what's funny is, like, New York City barely gets any snow, and we'll get a ton of snow. Like, New York City don't get a lot of snow at all. So it's like,
yeah, but I've never been there in the winter, and I'm glad for that. I've only been in the city in the spring and summer, so I was fine with that. And I was like, I've been to the city. I don't need to go back ever again. I'm good.
Nope.
didn't like that. Yeah.
It was fun. I partied. It was a riot. The 4 a.m. bar thing is awesome, but I was like, all right, I did it. I'm good. I don't need to go back. I don't want to drive in this shit ever again. I'm good.
Yeah, that's
And
where you go to party. 100% where you go to party.
Yeah, it was a blast.
My only experience in the Big Apple was always doing work for a moving company. That just sucked anyways, because, you're going in the city, you're unloading an apartment, you're freaking grabbing stuff, bringing it down 10 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to look for a place to stay in the city, and you're like, oh, this is going to be fun. You walk into a hotel, they're like, oh, it's like $50. I'm like, oh, it's not a bad rate for the night. No, per hour. I'm like, oh, it's one of them type of hotels.
Yeah.
Nope. We just get back in the truck, drive out of the city, and sleep in the truck, and say, the hell with that.
Only bugs crawl on you and stuff, man. It's not like, what?
You'd be lucky if that's the only thing crawling on you in one of them. You know what I mean?
There's crabs and gonorrhea and stuff like that in bed.
Don't ruin hotels for me. I try not to. Every time I go in a hotel, I'm like, no, everything's fine here. Don't think about gross shit. Don't think about all the shit that went on in this room. Just,
you know why they say we leave the light on for you, right? So the bed bugs don't come out.
Yeah.
Or the roaches.
I went out to San Francisco in September to go see the Tigers play the Oakland Athletics for the last time and go to Coliseum and all that shit. So stayed in San Francisco, which wild. It's just like lawless out there. The homeless are just everywhere.
Right.
And when I was looking for a hotel, I was like, I want to have parking, because parking it's a city. Parking is impossible. Every hotel was like $100 a day for parking. I'm like,
holy man,
fuck that. I found one hotel in the worst part of San Francisco, just the worst. Free parking. I was like, and it's got a like secure garage parking. I'm like, all right, I'll go there. Dude, they fucked up my reservation. They didn't have my name on file. They were like, we don't even have your credit card. Do you have your credit card on you? I was like, yeah, use this one. The guy goes in the back room with my credit card, and he's gone for a while. I'm like, dude, my card's getting, like, I'm going to have a bunch of weird charges on my card now. Yeah. I sat in that hotel lobby for an hour. They're like, we got a room. I was like, all right, cool. I'm like, can I park the van inside? He's like, we don't have any parking. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I had to park this rental van out in like the worst part of San Francisco, and they're like, don't leave anything in your car, don't leave the doors unlocked. There's still a good chance that somebody's going to break into it. I was like, awesome. Good thing I paid for the $30 insurance on this.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah, it was wild out there.
That's such a time.
Yeah, when I could, like, I stopped, we went to a game, and then we came back, and we were like, let's stop and grab some beer. So we found a liquor store in San Francisco, and I pulled up to him. My buddy looks at me, and he's like, I'm not getting out. I'm like, I'll get out. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I made it to the door, and I got in the liquor store, and I was like, nope, I'm turning around. It was just, do you remember in Back to the Future 2 where there's just trash everywhere, and it's like this awful, like, everybody's got guns kind of a thing? Yeah. It was like that. I walked into like Back to the Future 2 when Biff's like the mayor, and it was just chaos. And I'm like, I'm getting back in the van for this one. So we just kept driving around trying to find a liquor store to buy beer. And eventually we had to go like 3 miles out of the way that was somewhere decent, and then drive back into the like just madness of it all. and then hurried up, locked ourselves in the hotel room, and just drank beer and watched Star Wars.
Why am I always getting put down for this? Supposed to be trash men, not freaking Star Wars men.
Especially a Bills fan, that's why, you know.
It's probably what it is. I like these Bills. We just lost our way into the Super Bowl, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't even. Detroit played like Detroit again, and in the playoffs, I don't even want to. Again, too many men on the field. I was like, again, this year again, it happened. It was a bad time.
So,
like, oh, yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. This is what it's for. It's for everybody's stories. Like, not even only trash stories. So,
it's real nice that you actually get a job place, you know, where as long as you got a good management team, I mean, because where we were, we've been struggling with that for many years until recently. And now that we got like good management and everybody's on the same page and we're more focused on the end goal, like everything just is so much more smoother. You know what I mean? Like everything's into place. Yeah, there's still staffing issues sometimes, still truck issues. I mean, we're in an industry where, you know, trucks break down consistently because they're used hard, put away wet. So,
Yeah.
as long as you got, you know, a good team together, that's what makes the difference. And, you know, helps with taking time off, taking things out for family. But if you don't have that, it just makes the job 10 times worse. Honestly, I think they'd have more retention in most of these sites if they would just all get on the same page.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had a lot of bad management that came in, and that just everything was terrible with it. Like the condition of the trucks, it showed on that because we weren't allowed to spend money to actually correctly repair it. We basically had to like bubblegum and paper clips and hopes and dreams that it just makes it down the road. And our numbers affected that, and everybody was mad. The drivers were mad, the mechanics were mad, upper management's mad because they're not hitting their numbers. So, you know, people get moved around, fired, whatever, and we started finally getting good management in. And when he took over, he was like, wow, your fleet's 15 years old. And we're like, yeah, we still got one out there that's 20, and it goes out every day. It's a reliable truck. It's slow, but it goes out every day and comes back with no issues. And he's like, all right, well, I'll start working on getting you guys newer trucks. So slowly they started rolling in. They weren't in great shape. They were, you know, used and abused. So we had to put a bunch of money into them and then get them working. And then they were actually reliable trucks. And then he started bringing more in and more in. And then anytime we needed repairs, we're like, hey, can you approve this? He's like, just buy it. Why are you asking me? Just buy it. I'm like, oh, okay. So we got to build our inventory, our stock back up, and have parts on hand instead of having to wait for something that we should have. We now have it. We carry it. So we can get the truck fixed that day and it'll be ready for tomorrow. And they moved route managers around and stuff like that and kind of like split up their roles and what they do. So that reduced their stress. They're a little bit happier. We got a new route manager who I've worked with in the past, and he's the coolest guy in the world. He knows everything about the company. Any question you ever have, he can give you an answer for. And if not, he will find it for you and just do it. But he's by the book. If the company says come into work with your shoes on the wrong feet, he will come to work with his shoes on the wrong feet. Like, he is a dedicated by the book company man. And it pisses a lot of people off. And I'm like, that's just the way that he is. You should know this. It's just the way that he is. There's no gray area with him. It's, you have to do it. That's the rules. That's what they say you have to do. You have to do it. And it's like, all right, like, I'm not a driver, so I really don't have to deal with him that much, but I still do. And it's like, he's still a manager. And I'm just, okay, yeah, sure. I'll do what you're asking me to do. That's it. And he's like, all right, thank you. That's it. That's all right. Like, people fight it and they're like, they get mad. And it's like, why are you fighting it? Just do it. It's not hard. I don't know. People get stuck in their way. I get stuck in my ways. You know, my biggest thing being a mechanic is I hate doing shit twice.
Right. Absolutely.
If you want me to temporarily repair it, that's the only time I'm going to do it. That's it. I'm not doing the shit twice. If it takes me if it's something quick and easy, yeah, no problem. But if it's a major project, I'm not doing that project twice. I'm doing it right the first time, the right time, I don't care about your routes and open routes and not having enough shit. I don't care. I've already spent 30 hours of my week working on this, and we're just waiting on one part. I'm not going to cobble something together to get it on route, so I have to do it again when that part comes in. I'm not doing it. It drives me nuts. That's where I draw the line.
Now, do you guys have ASL automated trucks, or do you guys use like rear loads and stuff like that?
We started getting automatic side load trucks in about Halloween, somewhere in that ballpark area. And I started going through them one at a time, like fully inspecting them, going through it. On average, the amount of money that I put into it was about 20 grand. So that's doing brakes, wheel end, suspension, just the amount of hydraulic leaks that it has because they've never been maintained, fixing all that. Just all the trucks that we got in are Mac LRs or LEUs. So they're real low. And the fuel tank is like that far from the ground. And they're not meant to go in a landfill. They're meant to go to like a transfer station. So we have fuel tanks on standby ready to go because they come in at least once a week leaking because they hit something in a landfill.
Well, I'm sure.
And I think now we've been doing them so much with getting the fuel out and changing everything around. I think we've got them clocked down to like 45 minutes now. It's how fast we could swap them out.
Pretty bad when you gotta figure out, hey, it only takes me 45 minutes to change that gas tank.
Yeah, we got, and every day they're real finicky. It seems that every day they come in for something. They're not reliable like a rear loader. It's every day you're working on these things. There's something wrong with it. When we got them, all the grabbers were wore out, like blown out. So the prox that's in there that sends the signal back to the truck to turn the pump on and off, that grabber arm's sitting there swinging while it's going down the road. So it's telling the truck to turn the pump on and off. So it has the speed up control on it. So if that PTO turns on, it's going to go down to 7 miles per hour. So they'll be clipping along at 45 going down the road, and that grabber arm moves and clicks the pump on and just jerks the truck down into first gear. And they're going, oh my God.
Wow.
I think those grabber arms for the complete assembly is like a little over $7,000. And with everything going on in the political world and tariffs, I can only imagine how much more they're going to cost here in a minute. Because a PACCAR MX-11 turbos started, when we first got these trucks about 4 years ago, started at about $5,000 for a turbo kit. It is over $10,000 now for the same turbo. And PACCAR MX eat up turbos yearly. They just chew through them.
That's great.
When you're doing a PACCAR, you're doing the turbo, EGR, the valve, everything on that side of the block. And you're looking at, it's about $17,000 just to do all that.
No thanks.
Yeah, just for the turbo side.
Now, do you have any? I don't want to say interesting, but maybe some funny stories being a mechanic. Like if you can describe one of your like favorite scenes, if you would, like about.
He just felt like 60.
Yeah, the way people get creative when they're mad. Like the trail of cussing that comes out and it gets real creative is always my favorite because you always learn something new, or you take two cuss words and mush them together and you come up with something new. That's always a good one for me. Just my favorite thing to do, and you have to get everybody on board to do this. I've been bullying a grown man for the last week at work to get a library card. And I've slowly been trying to get everybody else on board. I'm like, hey man, just tell him to go get a library card. Like, tell him you've got one, and it's weird that he doesn't have one. So every day I see him, I'm like, hey, man, did you get a library card? He's like, why do I need a fucking library card? I'm like, everyone here's got one. You don't. That's weird. So every day, and I've got other people to do it too. Like, hey, man, ask him to get a library card. And they're like, why? And I'm like, just do it. It's funny. I'm bored. Just do it. So a lot of practical jokes, a lot of that stuff. One of the fun ones that I remember the most is one of the drivers was the same guy that I'm teasing about getting a library card as this guy. About 2 years ago, we were all outside because we're not allowed to smoke in the shop. So we all have to go outside the bay doors to smoke, which, whatever, no big deal. So we're all outside kind of like having a mid-shift meeting of what's going on, but we're also kind of joking around and smoking and stuff. Well, he starts yelling from the fuel pump like, "Oh, you guys are just sitting around eating bonbons," or whatever he's screaming about. So we're like, yeah, we're eating bonbons, whatever. So after that, we all started getting popsicles from the freezer when he pulled up, and would just stand outside and eat popsicles and be like, "Hey, how's it going? How was your day? We're just sitting around eating bonbons." And we're all just sitting there eating popsicles like kids.
So I take it he's the targeted guy at your job.
Yeah, because he's a good dude. He's a solid driver. I mean, he's been driving forever. He's, he's good, and he's one of those kind of guys that if he's in the right mood, hey, man, something happened. Can you go pick up extra stops? So, yeah, he'll do it. But he's so easy to mess with because he gets real worked up about it. Like the library card, it's the most innocent thing.
Right.
That gets him going. I ask everybody the dumbest questions, like, "What'd you have for dinner last night?" And they're like, "What the fuck? Why do you want to know that?" I'm like, "What'd you have for dinner last night?" And they're like, "Chicken." And you're like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool." And you're like, "I had hot dogs," and they just walk away. I have to mess with people at work because I'm at work. So it's just like, if I'm stuck here, you're stuck here with me. So
You got to make it enjoyable.
yeah,
Definitely.
I have to. As if not, it's like there's music has to be going. If there's no music, I'm like, why is there no music? It's weird and quiet in here. I mess with the oil guys that come in, any third party that comes in, like where my bay is, all the fluid is. So they come in and do hydraulic and oil and trans and whatever else. Oh, they come in, I will play like Whitney Houston really loud. Or just like share just weird music, and it's just blaring at them, and they're just like, "What the fuck?" And then you see like me and my coworker, they're like dancing all silly and shit and lip syncing it. And they're like, "What the fuck are they doing?" Like, it's just funny for us. So
back to the trash company again.
Yep.
It's kind of like me because when we're at our site, when we're done with the day, we got to pull up to the inspection lane before we get people. So we're always pulling up there, and I'm always putting on like Phantom of the Opera or like some weird like opera song, and I have it blaring in the truck. I'm outside doing my PM, and everyone's like, or my post trip, I mean, and everybody's just like from the mechanics bay, manager standing there, drivers. I'm over there doing my air press, just checking my stuff, and I'm singing along and just grooving around. Everyone's just like this 6'4" Viking dude is just like belting out opera. Everybody's getting the weirdest looks. I'm just having a blast with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that I would be like, all right, that guy's awesome, and then just I would join in on it in some weird way. Another prank I was doing was going into all the trucks, turning them on, turning the radio all the way up, and setting the memory on it. So when they got in at like 3:00 in the morning and hit the key, it just blared like max volume on the radio.
He was the mechanic that I would probably start vaselining his door handles.
What thing I was doing was
Or green, Alex.
the same driver that I've been messing about with the library card. We have like each truck has assigned spots.
Yep.
And then sometimes the wash crew parks in the wrong spot.
Oh yeah.
Or we do, or we can't see the sign, or somebody else. There's always a reason. You're like, all right, well, I'll just park it next to it, and I'd still plug it in. Most people, 99% of people don't care. But the guy who I've been bullying about getting a library card cares. He came in, the wash crew parked a bunch of trucks. They were in the wrong spots. His truck got parked somewhere else, and he's throwing a fit about it. I'm like, all right. And he starts yelling at me about it. I'm like, dude, I didn't park it. It was a wash crew. Like, just get over it. Like, it's plugged in. Your stuff's still in it. Let's just let it go. He's just running his mouth. I'm like, all right, fine. So the next time we worked on his truck, I parked it all the way in the back of the yard behind a bunch of dumpsters.
Wow.
All the way back there. So he had to walk a good quarter mile all the way back to the back of the yard and then kind of like snake it between a bunch of dumpsters that we had back there. So he learned, like, don't like, hey man, do you want me to keep doing it? Because I'll keep parking it way back there. Every day it'll be in a new spot. So you can either just be cool about something, I got time on my hand. I'll park that thing everywhere.
Sean, this is the real reason why our mechanics are a bunch of assholes to us all. Just fucking.
Don't complain about where they park your truck, Alex.
Oh, I do have it all the time. You're talking about.
Yeah, there's
Alex's complaint wasn't about where they parked it. It's about how close they parked it to another vehicle.
Like this much room between two roll-offs, and you're like,
right.
I've done that. I have parked it just right on top of it.
oh, I
Alex gets mad and starts talking crap, and then he goes in the next day and it's like even closer.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Alex is like, one day he's like, man, I had to drive the thing out from the passenger side because I couldn't get in the driver's side.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I started pulling pranks on them guys by parking it backwards. We're supposed to just pull in, and then my managers give me crap for it, but I would whip it around, reverse it, park it right next to the fence, and they're like, "We're supposed to plug it in." I'm like, "It's going to be 50 degrees tonight. You ain't got to plug it in." And then and the mechanics were like, "Oh, that was really nice of them. That's really smart. Everybody should start doing that." I'm like, "Fuck, I was not trying to be nice."
Yeah, because they would go out and get it and drive it out and work on the truck and then bring it back and then park it in the right way.
And I'm like,
yeah, I've had it. I mean, do you guys have? It seems like all the yards, because I've been to different yards all over Michigan to like help out and stuff, and it seems that every yard is basically the same group of guys, but they all look kind of different. So like, there's always one dude that breaks everything every day. Like he just gets in the truck and then something automatically breaks.
Yep, we got one of them.
Yep. There's.
We would use the name of it, but we can't.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we got like about 3 of them actually. So.
Yeah, we have about, I would say 4 that is just like, they woke up, got in the truck, and then the truck just like cartoonishly fell apart in pieces. Like that's their day. It's just, bah. They're calling you all the time, like they're like, hey, the truck's doing this. Where you at? And you're like, oh, cool, you're 2 hours away. Awesome. Yeah, I'm on my way. And then halfway they're like, I figured it out. I know you don't need to come out. It's like,
we got those.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm the type of driver that would use duct tape to get through the day.
Yeah, we got a couple. I've noticed between like the generation gap, because I'm like kind of stuck in between, like we have veteran drivers that have been doing this for 30 years. And then there's nothing but new guys. So there's no in between where somebody's been doing it for like 10 years or anything like that. It's just old and new. The old dudes will not do anything like that. They are like, oh, it's broke. Well, and you could be like, hey man, just like a common thing all the time is like check valves on air tanks getting broke off a landfill. Happens all the time. You know, I got an air leak. Okay, it's air check. Can you shove something in the landfill, like a stick in there to slow it down to get you back to the yard or finish route or whatever it is? 100%. They will be like, nope. And they will sit at the landfill until you get there to put a plug in. And they're like, all right, thanks. And then go back on their day. The new guys be like, hey, this is not working. What do you want me to do with this? It's like, hey, can you take pictures and look at this? Just give me an idea of what's going on. Like, I want to see this so I have a game plan of going out there so I can hurry up and get this fixed so you can get back on the route and get done for the day. Because I don't want to be on the side of the road for 2 hours. Right. I hate it.
Right.
It's cold outside. Doesn't matter how much Carhartt I have on, I am freezing cold. Like, it's cold. And 3, I don't want to have the manager meetings of like downtime and yeah. I try to. The only reason I work that hard is so I don't have to do meetings. I fucking hate meetings. If it's any meeting, if it can be done in an email, send it to me in an email. I'm never going to read it, and I'm going to pretend that I did. So,
definitely,
me and Sean are definitely the kind of drivers that we learn our trucks pretty well. So if we have small mechanical issues that most people would just fall over for, we normally fix it. Because before I came in where I'm at now, I used to work for the village, and we did our own road calls. So like, if we're out on the rear road and we blew a hydraulic line, we would do it ourselves. If we had an air leak at the landfill, we'd get out and fix it ourselves. So it's so much different mentality. Like you said, the older mechanics, they'll have a smallest issue. Like they'll have an air leak and it's only losing maybe, 10 PSI over like a few minutes, but it builds up every time you're moving anyways. So can't move the truck. It's got to sit here and wait. But
yeah, we definitely have a few drivers who are like, oh, it's the same thing. They're like, I'm not going anywhere. And you're like, all right, I'm on my way. And then you get management's like, where are you going? It's like, oh, they got an air leak, but they can still drive and pick, I don't know. And then they call, and then management starts bitching that if you can drive that truck safely, go back on route. Like, go. And then they come in and they get in a fight and then they're yelling and everything. And management's like, what's your problem? And which I totally understand. Like, I'm slowly becoming just grumpier. Like,
Well,
because it's just, I'm like, I'm happy because it's job security. Like, their trucks are always breaking. So I always got a job and there's always a paycheck. But at the same time, like, I am so sick and tired of doing the same thing again because of the landfill, because of this issue, because of a certain stop. Like it just starts grinding it down slowly. So you got to take time off or do some kind of morale building like lesson or activity to like make you feel it or like be like, yeah, I'll do road calls for a day because it gets me out of the shop. I don't care. I'll drive around all over Michigan to fix I'll fix the world right now. Just get me out of the shop.
Right. Yeah. So do you do a lot of like work on like in the landfill? Like a lot of in the landfill work?
Yeah, I have to go there quite a bit.
That's the worst place to be to be working on them trucks, huh?
I don't mind it too bad because our drivers are pretty it's about getting off the hill and getting down somewhere safe for you to work on. Sometimes they can't do it. Like
Right.
something happens and they're stuck there and you're like, all right, whatever.
Like a real bad air leak.
They've even managed to figure that one out and get them down the hill like so we could fix it. Like they're pretty good about getting down there. The worst one I've ever had was a roll-off driver was at one of the landfills that's way up in the thumb. He lost a steer tire on the way, like wasn't a wheel off, he blew a steer. And he tried getting off the hill. Well, he kept driving and that tire just shredded. And he pushed that truck so hard that it dug the axle into the landfill and shoved him over on the edge of the hill. And he could not go anywhere else because he had buried that steer axle into the landfill. So when I got there, I had to use a series of jacks and everything else to get the truck even kind of out of the ground. Mind you, it's on the edge. Like, this is the landfill hill. He's, like, on the edge of it. So that was fun with a 30-yard can on the back, so it's just swaying the entire time. That sucked. I did not care for that. It was real nerve-wracking. And then anytime they break down at the tipping floor, I hate that one. Because we get a lot of transfer trucks in from Canada who don't follow company guidelines,
right,
or any guidelines for that matter. Like they wear flip-flops in the landfill.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, like I've always talked about that. It's like, dude, what are you guys doing, man? Like these guys are getting out of the truck and they got like flip-flops on. Me and Alex used to joke about it. You remember that, Alex? What, like way back when do you remember that?
I mean, pretty sure Paul was talking about the trucks tipping over and falling.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the flip-flops.
Yeah, the dudes in flip-flops, like in a landfill.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we've definitely been there before, Sean. Remember when they had that news, like they were doing the new cell portion? It was a few years back, and you were in 18, and I was like in 11, or vice versa, or whatever. We both got stuck there. They had to tow us out of there. You know? Oh, that was nasty. We drove in there. They had it had to be almost 3 feet of just mud, and like we weren't scraping anything. So they just said, you just gotta go really fast and then drive reverse. Wherever they had us going is we had to drive in, angle it right next to the drop off point for the landfill, and then try to back it up to where we needed to dump. And both me and him got stuck side by side.
Mm-hmm.
Move the truck and all. We were just buried up to the axles, and they had to come out with chains with the dozers and drag us all the way out. And they're like, well, we're not crawling in the mud. You guys got to crawl in the mud. And I'm like, this is bullshit. It was like 5 o'clock at night. We had to be off like an hour. So it's like, all right, whatever. I got in the mud in the landfill, crawling through it. I had my car hard on and everything, covered head to toe in mud.
Mm-hmm.
And I get back to the shop and be well, why'd you do that for? I said, well, I doubt your asses would come out here and do it. So, someone had to step up.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to bitch the entire way there, and I'm going to bitch the driver, but I'm going to bitch when I'm crawling underneath the truck to fix it at the landfill, and I'm going to bitch the entire time, and they're like, get out of here, go. Like, I'm not happy about this, but I'll come out. I don't care. But yeah, transfer trucks at the tipping floor, because they don't follow the path. You can see everybody's kind of coming in one way and leaving one way.
Yep.
Tipping floor, it's for them, it's good luck everybody else. And it's just chaos. And I had a roll-off driver back up over a mattress and wrap it around the drive shaft. And he called and he was like, hey, I went on my hydraulics work. I'm like, all right. So I go up to the landfill. He's at the top, at the tipping floor, and it's just chaos up there. And, transfer trucks everywhere, dozers, just all the competitors working. It's just chaos. I look underneath and it's buried down to the differential. Like the axles are, the walking beams are in the ground, in the landfill. And I'm like, oh man. And I look and it's like, dude, I can't even get underneath it to see what you did. So dozer comes and pulls him out, fucks the truck all up, rips the bumper up, then couldn't get it from the front, tries to push it, screws up the rails on the roll-off side, screws up the can, just disaster. And I finally get underneath it, and he wrapped the drive mattress around the drive shaft, took out hydraulic lines, it broke the fittings off inside the hydraulic cylinders, so you couldn't just make a line. Like, it broke the bungs off. So I was like, well, it needs cylinders now. Ripped airlines off from the chambers. It was just a mess. And he had a can on there that was like a dump and return, because it's one of our bigger clients that has a special goofy looking, it looks like a choo-choo train kind of. It's some kind of like chute one. And it's a dump and return. He's like, well, I got to get this back to the customer. It's like, you physically can't move this truck, dude. Like, I cannot fix it. Like, I'd have to come out here with brake chambers just to even get it mobile, but you still can't do anything because the cylinders are shot on. He's like, well, what am I going to do? I'm like, I don't know. Call the route manager. Figure that part out. Like, it's not my job.
Right.
And finally, we called the tow truck company. We're like, hey, we got a truck at the top of the hill. Please get it to us as quickly as possible so we can transfer this can from it onto another truck. And they're like, okay, where's it at on top of the hill? Like, the very top, like way up there. All right. And they bitch. And every time they drop out, man, why'd you make me go all the way? It's tearing up my equipment. I don't know. Sorry, man. That's where the truck was at. Sorry.
Yeah, I've caught a mattress before.
Yeah.
Ripped out everything, all the airlines, everything, ripped everything right out of the truck instantly. And all I seen was on the side of the truck was just bedding just blowing out of the side of the truck. It was like the awesomest thing in the world, but it did a lot of damage.
Yeah, it usually does. We had one driver ran over a 55-gallon drum and drug it. Didn't even realize it, like left the landfill and got on public roads.
Oh my!
And it was like, called and was like, hey, there's something wrong with my truck. I'm going to pull over. So we drove out there to see what it was. And he had a 55-gallon drum wedged underneath the axles. And he's just there's a big blue streak going down the road from where he's dragging it. Like, you didn't notice that? You didn't notice anything was wrong? And he's like, no. Like, I do. And this is the same guy that couldn't get to the can at a Home Depot because there was a pallet of shingles in front of it. So instead of going inside the store and getting the manager to find somebody to move it, he thought he could move it himself and threw his back out. He's a cool dude. He's got some crazy stories, but he is not the sharpest crayon in the light bulb box. Like, he is not a rocket engineer. He's not. He's so goofy, dude. He comes in every morning if he's got a problem with his truck. He comes in and his shirt's up over his belly so you could see his belly. And his hat's like not on right. Like, it's like he just did like that. It's not on right. And he's just, the truck, the wipers, they're not
Wiping.
And you're like, what? All right, man. Like, just bring it in. And you go out there and like the wiper arms are like bent and the wipers are off. You're like, what'd you do? He's like, they were stuck to the window. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why do you do this? He's like, how long is this gonna take? It's like, I don't know, like an hour, dude. Like, what do you got going on? And every day he comes in, just shirt up over his belly, hat messed up. I wrote up a tire. Yeah, what's wrong? What's up with the tire? Yeah, I wrote up a tire. And then also, I didn't write it up, but my tarpers broke. You're like, oh, okay. All right, man, don't worry about it. Like, we'll change a tire and fix the tarper. And you go out there and the tarper arms are just in two different directions. The support bar's snapped, like the roller's off. It's just cartoonishly broken.
The tarps in the tire.
Yeah, dude, it's every time he does something, it's cartoonishly broken. It's like he is a living like Looney Tunes cartoon when it comes to like something breaking. Like
So
it's never minor. It's never something small. It's always like, hey, my lights don't work, and you get into it, and it's the wiring harness is just ripped out of it. You're like, what'd you do? And he's like, I don't know.
So is he the type when you see him go out to his truck and he turns around and starts coming back, you guys are like, oh my God, here we go again.
Yeah, we had a few drivers like that. One of them, he's long retired. He never checked his tires in the morning, never checked fluids. He'd fire it up, out the door, out the gate, gone. There was one time it was like mid-afternoon, like, because we get from like 12:30 to 2, we have like a rush of commercial come in. And then we have like the smaller, like missed pickups or like bulk pickup resi guys that are coming in. So from like 2 to 3:30, we have like a window where it's real slow. Like there's nothing going on. We finished everything. We're just kind of cleaning up, doing whatever. He came in one day and we're just all standing at the bay door. The fuel tank's dragging on the ground. He stops, doesn't even get fuel, just parks it, walks right past us, clocks out, leaves. Go to check a computer if he wrote anything up, didn't even write it up.
Wow.
All right. And we're like, well, we got this truck that's identical to it that's down for a transmission or whatever it was. We'll take the fuel tank off that, put it on that, get one on order. Whatever, you can have his truck for tomorrow. Get in the next day, it's like, hey man, did you see that fuel tank? He's like, nah. Same thing. Doesn't check anything, fires it up, out the door.
No, we definitely have drivers like that. They just start it up and put it on the road. An hour later, I'm all out of coolant for some reason. I started it this morning, but I just don't have any more.
Yep. Or we've had them just leave on just completely off the rim tires.
Oh yeah.
Right.
30 minutes later, I got a flat tire. What? Go out there and there's just 2 off the rim. It's like, did you check tires this morning? Oh yeah, I checked them 100%. You go back and look, they're all like perfect numbers. Like none of them are uneven. They're all like 112, and it's 30 degrees in the morning. They're all hot pressures.
You're right.
All right, man.
Wow. Like we get the ones that blow up the engine. Like they don't check the oil in it, and they'll go in there and fire it up, go inside, come back out in there, and just.
We haven't had that yet because we're pretty good about when we do our morning launches, going out and checking fluid for them and doing fluids for the drivers.
No, man. Why?
We never used to do it. It was always the driver's responsibility, and then management was like, in the morning during launches, check fluids, start them up, get the trucks warmed up so they can do their meeting, their driver huddle and topics, whatever they've got to do, and then get their trucks and go. So we're like, all right, whatever. Like, I don't care. I can walk around and put fluid in vehicles. It's not hard. They just walk around, smoke cigarettes, and, oh, yeah, check oil. Okay, it needs oil. Oh, it needs coolant. Whatever. Walk around, smoke cigarettes. Okay, no problem.
That's crazy, though, because they definitely don't do that where we're at. Like, that's our responsibility. We even put the oil in our truck.
I mean, come on. We should probably tell Rick about that. I mean, because he used to work for the competitor. So, I mean, like, he might be on board with the idea, Sean.
Yeah.
Tell him to hire, just tell him to hire somebody. All he is a lube monkey. And he just goes out and.
Yeah.
Smoke cigarettes. It's definitely. Wow, man.
One we did have blow up was, and it sucked too, because we put brand new axles in it, front and rear axles, the whole housing, differential, everything. So they were just that bad. The driver got it in the morning. He's like, man, it's not running right. Instead of pulling it in to see what was going on, he's just like, whatever, took it. It had a bad injector, and it just grenaded that engine way out in the country, and you just see an oil slick for miles where it blew, and he kept pushing it until it stopped, and it had a hole in the side of the block, dude.
Sounds
like hydraulic leak.
Right, I was going to say, it sounds like my first time driving a truck before anybody explained to me what hydraulics leaks are. How to watch.
Yeah, challenge he was in. He only stopped because the hydraulics stopped.
Yeah. No, it was a walk-up. I stopped because of a walk-up.
What I'm saying is the mechanic came out, and he followed you. He could follow the entire trail around the whole city.
That's how he found me. I didn't tell him where I was at. I said, hey, I'm in this town. Come find me. And blood trailed me.
Yeah, we have contracts with some of the hospitals, and they spend big money for cans because they got so many. We do switch outs, all that stuff. Again, the same driver who comes in with his shirt up, I'm just going to go with him because he's goofy. He calls me up. He goes, hey, I'm down here at the hospital. I got a hydraulic leak. okay, no problem. Like, I'll be out there. He goes, all right. I drive out to the hospital, and I get there, and the hospital had spent, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars redoing all the concrete, all through the back of everything. He's in the middle of their yard, or like their driveway back receiving area, on all the brand new concrete over a sewer, and there's just hydraulic fluid everywhere. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, I thought it was like, hey, got a little bit of hydraulic leak and he stopped running it. Nope. He had a leak and was trying to figure out where it was at and just dumped 30 gallons of hydraulic fluid all over this brand new concrete pad over a fucking sewer. So you can already imagine it's bad, like environmentally bad, and then pissed off a very important customer bad. So I get him cleaned up, get the truck kind of like, hey, get it back to the yard as quickly as possible. Don't turn on the pump. Don't turn on the PTO. Just drive. Okay. I start putting floor dry down, damming it off and all, then cleaning it all up. I call the clean crew company that we use, like, hey, you gotta come out and power wash this like ASAP now. Like, I don't care how much it costs, just build a company, get out here and do it. Had to go inside the hospital and talk to the environmental guy, like, hey, we had a spill back here. I got a cleanup crew. And they're like, hold on. They went back there and it was the environmental manager guy, like a bunch of team members, very important people who make decisions back there just fuming mad because all this money they spent concrete on is just destroyed. I'm like, man. And I'm just like, I'm just a mechanic. I came in to find the manager so there wouldn't be any like shit rolls downhill kind of thing, like being responsible and be like, let me tell your environmental manager what's going on. So nobody on my end, manager wise, is getting a phone call and then he's getting yelled at, I'm getting yelled at, trying to avoid all of that. And it's just, I saw it firsthand. Like, they were basically essentially blaming me for it. I was like, I'm just a mechanic. I came to fix it. I put floor dry down. I called the cleaning crew company. They're going to come out and power wash and scrub and clean it all up. And it's like we were never here. And it was just, they were already calling the company on the phone, like, have a nice day. Bye. I'm getting back in the truck and out of here.
You should have just told them, hey, look, guys, that was a free 30-gallon sealant coat top for you guys.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was, I have so many goofy stories with that driver.
Who's your favorite?
He's your favorite, right?
Dude, he's a cool dude. Like, I've had to go pick him up because he always, like, again, cartoonishly breaks down. And I've had to drive out and be like, hey, so-and-so is broke down. He can't start the truck. Go take a look at it and see if you can fix it. And it's like, oh, he ripped all the wires out of the ECU. I don't know how, but the whole wiring harness is ripped out. Can't fix it. We got to get a wiring harness, get it towed back. So I'll drive drivers back, basically like an Uber system for drivers, like just drive them back to the shop, and had conversation, like dude, the guy's a foodie, loves crazy food. Like, we were talking about eggs and all sorts of stuff, and he's getting like, oh yeah, I went and had this kind of meal. And I'm like, what? Total foodie, like, likes food, coolest dude, has worked some crazy construction pipeline jobs in the oil industry, like, cool dude, but just had a head injury and just kind of out there. Right. But he's still the coolest dude, and he just does goofy stuff all the time. Like, he gets flat tires in the weirdest of places. Like, you would see, like, he gets like it's common, you're going to get a flat tire at a landfill. Like, you're going to run over rebar, concrete, you're going to get a flat tire. He'll be behind, like, an elementary school picking up a can. He's like, I got a flat tire. And you're like, what did you hit out here that you got a flat tire?
Oh, school bus full of kids? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just always somewhere goofy that he gets like a flat tire. And be like, I'm in the middle of a national park picking up a can and I have a flat tire.
He caught a stick to the tire.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I guess I'm going out because we have contracts with county and national parks out here for cans and stuff. So we got to go, we have drivers pick up cans. Mostly in the spring and summer. In the wintertime, they don't, there's nothing really to pick up.
Right.
But we have all those accounts, and he goes and does, like, the bigger parks will get like a 20 or 30 yard can for like a holiday weekend and have it out there, and he'll go get it, and then he'll be like, I have a flat tire at blah 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 national park, and you're like, how? Fucking how? It's a dirt road. There's nothing here. Like, there's no foreign material here to stab your tires. Like, it's not a landfill. And he just, yeah, I got a flat tire. Okay.
Probably had it all day and he's just been dragging it.
Probably.
Or he was just, trying to do some drifts and wheelies.
Maybe. Because he's the one, I've seen him at the landfill, and you see his Kenworth going by, and he's just out there off-roading in the landfill. Like, he's hitting every mud puddle. Mud's going up over the glass. He's out and just flying through gears. He's having a ball out there, just living it up.
You got to have fun with it, right? It's
Right.
not, I don't own the truck, so I mean, what the hell?
Yep.
We had
He's
somebody
like
like
a kid
that.
in it.
We had somebody like that hit the mud puddles and put it over the window and was laughing and thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And it's like, dude, how much damage did you do to the bottom of that truck?
I mean, I definitely see some of our, people in this podcast that do that same thing.
I don't.
I've been behind you at the landfill, and there'll be a freaking mud pool, with water in it that's like about 5 foot deep, and I just see Sean going down the hill,
Ooh, shit. Whoa.
and I'm like, I'm going a little slower than that.
Yeah, we definitely do mud wars where we see how high up the window we got that mud. So
Yeah, we have 3 main landfills that we use, depending on like county and where we're at and all that stuff. The one smaller one, they take excellent care of it. Like it's still a landfill, but they make good roads and paths. And if there's a mud pit, they will try and put something over it so you're not buried down into it. The other one that we use that's further up north, that dude is just ADHD about it. Like, he finds concrete blocks. He makes roads out of it. He builds. It's just pristine the way he does it. And it's never really bad up there. Like, every once in a while, you'll hear a driver like, man, blah, 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 landfill was, pretty soupy today. But then that's it. You get the main one that we use that everybody uses, it's a disaster. They can't make a road. They can't clear a path. They got certain things blocked off. You got to drive across the landfill to get where you're supposed to go. And that's the day where you're like, so-and-so's down at landfill. So-and-so's down at landfill. So-and-so doesn't have power at the landfill. And it's just like, oh, man. And you get there and you see everybody's broke down. Like, all of the competitors are just sitting at the entrance to the landfill, just covered in mud. There's rebar sticking out of tires, no power. They're leaking something. Something went through a fuel tank. Something went through an oil pan, and it's always like that.
right.
And they're untouchable because they make so much profit that we can't, like, it doesn't matter if we complain, like, hey, we want this landfill to start paying for this stuff that is essentially their fault. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, whatever, we'll just eat the cost of it. But, when we break it down, we're like, it happened at the landfill. It happened at the landfill. It happened at the landfill. It happened. We had those PACCAR MX-11s have composite oil pans on it. And they're supposed to have like a skid plate that goes over it. It's a factory option, I guess. So not all trucks had them. So we had trucks that didn't have these skid plates on it. We didn't know. We were just like, these Peterbilt 520s are new to us. Like, we don't, oh, this one's got a skid plate. This one doesn't. This one does. Well, there's no holes drilled out for it, so it must not need one. A driver went up there with a resi truck, and he goes, yeah, my oil light came on and the engine shut down. Put a piece of rebar through the oil pan and in the trans and just kept driving. And it blew up, it locked up a motor and trans. That was $80,000 for a long block and a trans, plus labor. So it was pretty expensive.
Burning you guys.
I think I got a new job opportunity. I'm going to get one of them tow trucks, and I'm just going to sit at that landfill and just tow everybody out of there.
But
You
Alex,
make some good money.
you could do that around us. What are you talking about?
Come on. I mean, like, you just sit there and you just be on call and on hand, getting paid for every hookup. I mean,
Right.
come on now.
Right. Think about how many times our trucks get brought back to the shop. They'd buy you a brand new truck. Come on, man.
Yeah, I'll have to find it on my phone, but it's actually a really cool picture. We have 3 different tow trucks bringing trucks to our yard, and it was awesome. It's dusk. It just got done raining. It's a cool picture, and all the trucks are all lit up with all their accessory lights on. It's a dope picture, and I got it somewhere on my phone, but it shows so how bad, because we have 3 of our trucks getting towed in. It's like, that's not good, but it's a cool picture.
I mean, we have one tow company we use religiously, and we swear we buy them like their new trucks every year because
Oh, yeah.
of how often.
We feed on their fleet. multiple times.
Yeah, we use one specific company where we're at too, and we've bought them a lot of equipment. And there's a video of it online. I think it might be on Trash Boy Nation. I'm not sure. It's in my area. The tow truck driver did not hook up the truck properly, and it let go from the tow truck and just went down. Like it went across the lane of traffic and then just went down into a ravine. And it was like probably 40 miles from where I'm at. Like, so in my market area where it happened, it was like, oh God, no.
That's awesome.
All you're doing is watching. Like, I hope it's not one of the trucks I gotta see in the morning.
Yeah. Luckily it's not. Like, it was, I could always tell. I'm like, oh, is that one of mine? No, it's CNG. See you later. Like, I don't.
The guy with the belly and the hat. Where's my truck?
I had to get some lunch real quick for then all of a sudden.
A funny story about it. He lost the key to the truck.
What?
He took the key out of the ignition. I don't know what he was doing, but he decided in the middle of the day he was going to run some personal errands.
All right, sure.
Like, hey, don't to get caught. It's frowned on. You know, if you got to do something, just take the day off or be like, don't do personal things on company time.
Right.
So he went to go do a personal errand, took the key out of the ignition of the truck, and then lost said key. And then had to call route managers and be like, hey, I lost the key. I'm at blah, blah, blah. And they're like, why are you there? That's nowhere where you're supposed to be. And he's like, yeah, well, I lost the key. So we're like, we don't have a spare for that truck, dude. Like,
It's
we
great.
don't have a spare key for it. And he's like, oh, okay. What do you want me to do? And we're like, I don't know, sit there. I guess we'll bring you out another truck. But why were you here at this place that is not a stop and it is not a place to eat? Why are you here? And he's just, well, I don't know. They just had to do something real quick. But managed to like lose a key somehow. He's broken keys off in ignitions before. Like he'll come in and be like, I broke this. You're like, thanks, dude. Like,
Right. Awesome.
I will rig it up. I will like hotwire this truck so you can start it with a push button until a tumbler comes in with a key. So yeah,
That's crazy.
I mean,
Yep.
we've actually had managers before in the past that are like, oh, hey, if you got to go, renew your license, just take the truck with you. Just go to the DMV and park your truck and go in and do what you got to do.
no, we have,
We're like, what? Like, wait, hold on.
yeah, we have one.
We have DMV as on our route, so
Right. Yeah.
They don't
I mean,
really
still.
right.
Yeah, Michigan. We call the DMV the Secretary of State. I'm like, what the fuck is DM? Oh yeah, Secretary of State. We're the only state that has a different name for it.
We
Oh,
don't
yeah.
call
Sorry.
the Department of Vehicles.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have Secretary of State. That's our DMV. That's what we call it.
So it's an SO.
Yeah, it's SOS. And then I think they get a new director of the SOS like every 2 years. We got to do an election on it. So I always forget who it is. And I don't even know who it is now. And it's just like, you go in there, you still got to do all the times online to make your appointment because COVID. But they've gotten so efficient at it that if you get there early, they're like, go stand over there. So you stand over there and they're like, do you have all the things? And you're like, yes, I have all the things. And like, pay me. And I'm like, okay, here's my credit card. Take it. So it's gotten efficient since COVID because it used to be you got there, pulled a ticket, and just sat there for hours.
Right.
And now you're in and out now.
The thing is, one of the only good things about COVID that happened was the fact that like they got more efficient at their job.
The DMV. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You right.
Yeah.
I mean, the bad part about COVID is everything went up, prices went up, factories closed down, everything's back ordered. It's just, but I mean, the DMV or your Secretary of State, they're now finally an operation that works.
Yeah. Yeah. The only effect that I'm having from COVID that's still irritating me is we have to buy brake parts specifically from one vendor for pricing reasons. They won't ship those brake parts until their semi-truck is completely full with orders.
So they basically
so you have to order a shit ton, which fine. Like I will order pallets of them because we're going to go through them. It's not like, it's a slow moving part. It's every week you're doing a brake job. But if something happens in like the auto order and it gets screwed up and it doesn't auto order it and you're waiting for brake parts and you can't get them because the vendor hasn't filled that semi truck up yet. Like like, oh, that's such a COVID thing, and it irritates me. It's like, dude, they're brakes. Like, just, I will go take the company truck and pick them up. Nope, they're at a different warehouse in Kentucky or wherever, but they will physically not move that truck until it is 100% full. So you could be waiting 2 weeks for brakes. That's everything else part-wise has mostly caught up. Like when COVID was really happening, like regen parts was really hard to get. And then when they did all the tariff trade war bullshit the first time, it was really hard to get wiring harnesses. Like there's no lead, like, hey, I need this wiring harness. So, like, we don't have it in stock. Can you give me a lead time? No. Cannot give you a lead time. Don't know when it's going to be in. You're like, okay, I'm going to cobble this one back together and hope and pray that it works. And then if it got really into the fine stuff that you can't repair, like it's so small, like dash stuff, very small wiring, very small pins, like you cannot repair it. Like it's impossible. No, they're like, we don't know when it's going to be in. Okay. And that since COVID and the last year, that's kind of became linear again, where there's no more guessing game. It's, yep, we have it. Or you call up there and be like, hey, I see that you carry it, but you don't have any. What's your ETA on it? Be like, oh, Reno has it. It'll be here in 2 days. Or Kentucky has it. It'll be here in a day. That's fixed now. For now. Monday when I go into work, don't know what's going to happen because of the tariff in Canada and Mexico and the mess that it's going to create with getting parts. Not looking forward to it because a lot of Mack harnesses are made in Mexico. Peterbilt trucks are made in Mexico. A lot of regen and fuel stuff comes out of Canada. So it's not looking forward to the tariff trade war again because it sucked last time and it's not going to be fun this time. It's a movie I don't want to see again. It's a sequel I don't want to see.
I mean, pretty much our fleet is what, 99% Mack right now, and all our resi fleet is all from the Labrie bodies, which are all from Canada. That's going to probably make our life a living hell. I might have to find a new job.
Yeah, I know.
Don't worry about it. You're not a mechanic.
No, but I'm the driver that's going to have to deal with this damn truck that's going to never.
Don't worry. Your pump will fall off again.
Why would you say that?
Don't worry. I'll make it all the way to Friday.
We're lucky that our Mack dealer last time was kind of saw the writing on the wall and did the best they can with stocking stuff. So we got pretty lucky with that for about, I'd say, a year before it got to, hey, we don't have that anymore. It's it's on the slow boat from China. It's, for a minute we couldn't get like red dot heating parts, like blend door actuators. Could not get them. It was impossible to find them anywhere. And the driver's like, hey, the heat's not working on my feet. It's not working on my windshield. It's not working at my face. It's like, I can stick a screwdriver in there and I can get it on one of 3. Which one do you want? Like, you're getting windshield and that's it, or feet and nothing else. Like, I could maybe jam it in the middle, but that's it. And then finally, we got a box in and it's just nothing but blend door actuators and blower motors and resistors. We're like, finally it showed up. We can fix everybody's shit so they can stop complaining about it. And like I said, it's just come Monday, like it's gonna be bad. And I'm hoping the dealerships have seen the writing on the wall and took efforts to curb that issue that's gonna happen. I'm hoping, instead of being like, don't worry, it's all gonna take care of itself. Like, oh boy, okay.
Definitely. So you are the first mechanic that we've had on the show so far.
All right.
What would you like to tell our viewers? Any words of advice or anything like that?
For the viewers who don't work in the trash industry, relax about your trash. If your scheduled pickup date is Wednesday, it's Wednesday. There's not a specific time that they pick it up on Wednesday. It's just Wednesday. Please don't call and complain. We don't want to leave your trash laying out. Just stuff happens. It will be picked up, I promise you. I promise you. It will be picked up. Please stop calling and complaining. Please stop.
Well, if you see with a truck behind another truck, he's just working. Leave him alone.
Yeah,
And if you see a guy with a belly and a hat,
avoid him at all
times. Yeah. Please just don't be mad at us. We're trying to get through it. We're trying to if the company changes something about how you've been doing it for 30 years, please remember it's not my fault. It's not the driver's fault. It's not us. Please don't yell at us. Please don't threaten to kill us. Please don't swing baseball bats at us. That would be much appreciated.
Where do you work?
Does
he work in San Francisco?
No, we have a community that is relatively older, and they are stuck in their ways, and people get really protective about trash cans for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't figured this out. And it's so, like, we gave all the customers brand new cans. Like, hey, we're doing this. Here's brand new cans. So they complained that the cans were too big. And we're like, hey, we'll give you smaller cans. Understand that. We went out. Mechanics were going out on Saturdays and Sundays with drivers and switching out cans and stuff. Like, we're doing the best that we can. But you get people like, my great Peepaw's mama brought this trash can on the boat when he came over to the country. We've had it in our family for 30 years. What do you want me to do with it now? And you're like, I don't know, but we gave you new cans. Like, they get real weird about cans. Like, one dude's got a cart corral that he built out of bicycle tires that he puts his little tiny cans in as all his leaf bags. And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do now? I built this for my cans, and your cans aren't going to fit in it. And you're like, I'm sorry, sir. I'm just here to deliver the cans that you requested. Like, have a good day. And they just, one dude followed me with a baseball bat. Because we were told, like, if the cans are visible that need to be swapped out, go up there and swap the cans out. Don't go any further around the property. Like, if they keep them on the backyard, don't do it. But if you can physically see them, go get them, swap them out for whatever cans they suggest they want. This dude walked out with a baseball bat and was like, we have our gear on, our trucks out front. We have a box van full of these cans. He comes out with a baseball bat, and I'm walking up trying to grab the cans. And he's like, what are you doing to my cans? I'm like, I'm from the company. You requested that these cans were too big. You wanted smaller cans. We're here to swap them out. And he's just sitting there just swinging that baseball bat like he's getting ready to bust my skull open. I'm like, dude, you called in that you wanted smaller cans, and I came here. I'm a mechanic. I'm helping out operations to get all this stuff straightened out because we have a couple 100 customers that are mad about it. And he's just, I don't understand what this company's doing. I'm like, I am just here to switch out the cans, sir. Like, please don't kill me on a Saturday. I don't want to die at work.
Funny. It's funny. But yeah, so everybody have a good night. Have a good day.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks.